Hello there, my name is Niamh. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I upload videos twice a week. Tuesdays are sit down videos like the one you are about to watch, and Fridays are vlogs, so you should totally stick around and subscribe. So a while back on my Instagram, you should totally be following me if you're not, I asked on my Insta stories whether you wanted the first video of the month to be a book review of what I've read the previous month or a mental health stress video, and you guys said a book review. So here we are with all of the books that I read in February. It's March. What the heck? We're already in March. We're not going to talk about March. Okay, March means a lot for a lot of people. We're not going to talk about March. Okay, all we're going to talk about is the books that I read in the past month. I am nice and cozy. I'm in a really big hoodie, no makeup on, hair's in a bun. We're not putting in effort today, and that is okay. Get cozy and let's get into the February book review. I actually did not read as much as I possibly could have in February because I just didn't read for like the first 2 weeks. I don't know why, but anyway, let's get into the books. I shall stop rambling. The first book I read was Selka's Journey by Heather Morris. This was a fantastic read. Oh my goodness. So it's not a sequel, but it kind of follows up to The Tattooist of Auschwitz, also by Heather Morris. Two different characters. You're following two different characters, but I would recommend definitely having read The Tattooist of Auschwitz before you read Selka's Journey, because you might be a little bit confused in areas, but regardless, it was such a good read. I want to say I preferred it slightly, I think. I'm not totally sure. It's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. If you've no idea of the two books I'm on about, it's about, well, The Tattooist of Auschwitz is about the guy who was literally tattooing the numbers onto people in Auschwitz, and then Selka was a character kind of within that, but then this follows her on from Auschwitz when she goes to a different kind of prison. It's heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking, but I think it's so important to read these kind of books because this stuff legit happened. So like, it should make us feel uncomfortable. It absolutely should. But I think it's well worth a read. I flew through it. Oh my god, because it was just like, you just get so intrigued and like drawn into the characters, and like I just really attached myself to the characters. You get what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Selka's Journey, well worth the read. The next book I read was Moonlight over Mayfair by Anton Dubeck. Now this is something, okay, get your words, Niamh. So what was his first one called? This book is a sequel to his first book that I cannot remember. His first book is One Enchanted Evening, which I read a while back actually, and I borrowed it off my boyfriend's mom, and then his sister read the second one and got onto me and was like, oh my god, do you want to read this one? So I borrowed that off them. This book, I said, it was a lovely read. Like, that's how I kind of would describe it. And similar with the first one, they're a lovely read. There's something just kind of nice about them, but it's very different to my usual style of books. Very different. I did prefer this one slightly to the first one. I found it a bit more engaging. I just felt the first one was a little bit slower for me or something, whereas I felt this one kind of just got into the character stories a bit faster, if you get what I mean. One thing I will say about Moonlight over Mayfair and the first one is that they're very descriptive, and there is not a whole pile of dialogue in general. So if that's not for you, I wouldn't recommend his books, because I do prefer dialogue. I'm not as interested in how the doors looked or in how a whole room, I'm not as interested in knowing every single detail about that. But if you do like descriptive books, this is definitely for you. Yeah, and as I said, it's just very different to anything I would usually read, because it's set in England in like the late 1930s, before World War II started. So it's a very different setting to what I would normally read, but I enjoyed it. And if you're looking for something a bit different, if you want to kind of broaden what you normally read, I would recommend looking into his books. So what was the first one called? Jesus Christ. One Enchanted Evening? So yeah, the first one is One Enchanted Evening, and the one I read last month was Moonlight over Mayfair. The next book I read, so I had seen so much about this book, mainly on people's Instagram stories. I'd seen a lot of people reading it, saying it was so good, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to give it a go then, aren't I? And it is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I have no idea how to pronounce the second name. I'm so sorry. I think it's a he. Alex could also be a girl, but possibly it's male. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Okay, this was a fantastic book. Such a page turner. Like you just had to keep going the whole time. It definitely was well worth the hype. Sometimes I'm a bit skeptical about, I'm the same with TV shows and movies. If I hear so many good things about it, I'm ready to be disappointed by it, you know, that kind of way. So when I had heard so much about this, I was like, look, I'm probably not going to enjoy it, because in general I don't like the things that are hyped up as much as other people do, but this was well worth the hype. And you're just like, what? Like, oh my god. As I said, I'd seen loads about it, but I actually had no clue what the book itself was really about, and it was not what I expected at all. I don't know what I was expecting, but this wasn't it. But oh my goodness, highly recommend it. If you're gonna read any of the books that I'm mentioning in this video, read The Silent Patient first. It was fantastic, well worth it. And I don't know, did I hear he writing a second one? I don't know, is it a second one to this or just another book? But yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. The next thing I read was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I'd like heard of it. I'd seen a little bit about it. I think I was actually watching Renee Amberg. She's a YouTuber, she's living in New York. She had it on like one of her reading lists or something, and she read the blurb. Is that the back of it? The blurb. She read the back and I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. So it was just kind of in my mind, and I read it, and grand is the best word for it. It was grand. Nothing majorly special to it or anything like that. I was expecting a little bit more, but it was still like, it was grand. It was a fine read. Everything very much happens towards the end. Like the last, like, I read it on my Kindle, so it's like it's in like percentages, so like the last like 10 to 20% of the book was when everything happened, when it was really like, ooh, this is actually quite good, and the rest I feel like is just kind of really setting it up for it. It was very steady paced. It wasn't like really like go, you're like, oh my god, what's happening, but it wasn't slow either. It was a grand steady paced book, you know. You could tell it was kind of always leading somewhere, but like very kind of steadily, if you get me. Look, it was fine. It wasn't the best book I've ever read. It wasn't the worst. It was fine. Like, it was grand. It was decent, do you know? I'd say like if you're stuck, if you really have no clue what to read and you feel like you've read everything and you haven't read this, like, read it. It's a grand read. And the last book that I read, okay, I have kind of been reading this since I bought it in maybe like November, December, I can't remember, but I finished it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna include it in this one. And it was Kindfulness by Padraig O'Moran. So this, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it in a video before, but it was my counsellor actually recommended it to me. So Kindfulness, it's basically kind of like self-compassion with mindfulness and being kind to yourself and everything. I personally think everyone should give this book a go, because I think in general as a society we're quite mean on ourselves and we're not that much of a friend to ourselves, and this is just kind of trying to help you to become a friend to yourself. So I think everyone should give it a go at least. But I would just say, like, take your time reading it. Like, it wasn't a binge worthy book because there's a lot of information within each chapter. I think you do need to go slowly with it, and I'm probably going to go over it because, as I said, there's a lot of information, and I'd recommend like taking notes, highlighting and stuff, because I didn't do that. I don't really like doing that with books. One, because I think books are just lovely, and I actually have the physical book, so I don't want to highlight it, but I was like, it might be beneficial. So I don't know, I'm probably gonna go back over it and like highlight a few things, write down a few notes from it. There is a lot of information and there's a lot of stuff you'd kind of need to be practicing, if you get me. But yeah, overall I thought it was a really good read, and yeah, something that if you are not kind to yourself, if you're not a friend to yourself, I would give this book a go. You might find one or two things beneficial, you might find loads beneficial, but yeah, definitely worth a read. And that was it. Those were the books I read in February. I thought I would honestly read more, but as I said, I didn't start reading till like 2 weeks in. So to you know, 5 books in 2 weeks, not too bad. Okay, I didn't read the whole of the 5th one, but anyway, it's fine. You get what I mean. That was all the books. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see my shadow there? Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know what that was. I'm going a bit crazy. It's fine. I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned and what you thought of them. And of course, if you have any recommendations for me, leave them down in the comments, because I'm always looking for new books to read. I have nothing lined up at the moment, so let me know what you think I should read. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're going to enjoy these book reviews every month. I like doing them. I like watching them as well. So yeah, gonna keep them up. It's also a way to challenge myself to keep reading every single month. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if you watched the whole way through, you're the best. If you did like this video, you should totally give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are not already. And I shall see you on Friday with another vlog. Bye.